Men, it's time to realign your focus. What you don't realize is when your focus is off, everything else in your life will be off because you will not know what you're doing, why you're doing it, when you're doing it, because you have no focus. What's up, everyone? It's Nylan from the Surrender Strength Radio podcast. And if you've listened to this podcast before, there's been I had a about an 8 month hiatus from posting or sharing episodes. And I'm going to talk about that today and talk about the direction of where this is going, where the Surrendered Strength Radio, which may not even be called that here in the near future. So let's dive in. As I mentioned, if you've listened to this podcast before, or you're just paying attention to the timeline of when episodes are coming out, there has been a gap from April to now, which is November, almost December, and actually may even be December when this episode comes out. There's been a big gap, and that big gap was needed in my life as as I went through or had been going through just struggles in my personal life, in my marriage, and with that came came a big understanding of my focus not being where it needed to be. I was talking the talk and not walking the walk in this journey of living a surrendered life. And you know, this is just me not being clear on my goals, me not being clear on my intentions, and this blew up, really blew up in my life, inside of marriage. It really blew up inside of my marriage, and my wife saying she's done. Um, Currently, we're still together, working through things. But this is where it showed up, or blew up, I should say. And this is where, or this is the wake up call for me of, okay, obviously what I'm doing isn't working. So time to step back, time to see what the hell's going on. And in that in that process of stepping back, in that process of just re-examining my health, my wealth, my marriage, my purpose, my goals, what I realized was that I had lost focus in a major way. And in some areas, it was I lost focus. In other areas, it was I really didn't have the focus to begin with. The focus wasn't there. I was being very, very broad in general instead of being a laser beam in terms of focus in that area. And this was a great wake up call. It was a painful wake up call for me, but it was great. And God works in mysterious ways, and if He needs to blow up my marriage, or allow me to blow up my marriage to refocus and realign my focus to what is important, or what the important things I need to focus on, then so be it. And it's no different from back when I was in college, and I ended up getting an OWI, operating while intoxicated, spending a night in jail. That was a wake up call in that moment in my health. If you keep going down this path, it's not going to look good. It's not going to be pretty. So this is your wake up call. What are you going to do from here? Are you going to continue down this path of destruction, of loss, of no focus, Or are you going to realign your focus and start moving forward in a direction that will allow you to actually grow, will allow you to walk with me, walk with God, and move forward with purpose, with meaning, and actually live a life that honors and glorifies God. Now, I'll be honest, back in that time when I got the OWI and spent the night in jail, I hadn't even given my life to Christ yet. And so surrendering wasn't even a faith-based. I felt that that was God's way of kind of waking me up to, the choices that I was making at the time. But again, I had not fully surrendered and given my life to Christ at that time. I was just aware of God. I was aware of the Bible. I was aware of Jesus. And I'm actually going to dive more into this topic of surrendering not being about faith in the next episode. So there's times in our lives where things are going to blow up, whether it's in our health, whether it's in our finances, whether it's in our marriage, or just simply our purpose. They're going to blow up. And we have to understand that this isn't the end. We are, as long as we have a heartbeat in our chest and breath in our lungs, this isn't the end. There's a time to move forward. We still have time to move forward. We still have time to refocus and to actually live a life of meaning, to have purpose in this life, and to walk with God and live in a way that honors and glorifies God, and ultimately to imitate Jesus, that is to love like Jesus. And that is the direction that this podcast is going. That is the direction my life is going, that I'm going to move forward. I'm going to teach and coach men to love like Jesus, that is to honor and glorify God in their health, in their wealth, in their relationships, and in their purpose. This is where my focus is going. And this podcast, I'll be honest, previously trying to serve everyone or trying to make this podcast connect with everyone. And what I've just have been learning through training, which I'll talk about in just a second, is I'm serving no one. I have been serving no one. I have probably just been talking to talk and not connecting with anybody. So moving forward, this podcast, again, might be renaming it, doing a little rebranding, but this podcast is going to be for Christian men who feel stuck in a cycle of shame, guilt, and rejection because you have dreams and desires, and you feel that because you're pursuing your dreams and your desires, that you're not living a way that honors and glorifies God. So you're stuck in this cycle of pursuing and denying, crashing or creating and crashing, building and burning. That is your pursuing your desires only to deny yourself the joy of experiencing success, the success that you have earned, that you have gone after, and joy that God has given you because he's given you those abilities. He's given you those opportunities to enjoy that success. But you deny yourself. You also create relationships. You've been creating relationships, but you're only creating them to watch them crash out of fear of rejection. And you simply will connect with people. Maybe you're not even connecting with people. Maybe you're just sitting on the sidelines. Or staying back, not stepping forward in your faith, not stepping forward, and you're living a life of rejection, of fear of rejection. So instead of either creating relationships, or you do create relationships, you just watch them crash out. Or thirdly, you are building up your kingdom, that is your body, your household, your business, your finances, whatever that may be, only to burn it all to the ground out of shame and guilt because you don't know how to use it to honor and glorify God. So ultimately, this comes down to a lack of purpose and connection with God and understanding that we're on a journey with God and we're not doing anything for God. We're doing all that we do because God. So whether you're a newer Christian man who is interested in living out your faith, but you're not sure what that looks like and don't even know where to begin, but you're tired of living in the cycle of shame, guilt, and rejection, then this podcast is going to be for you. Or you are a man who's been a Christian for a while and you feel like you've just lost purpose and you're struggling in your faith and you want to reignite the passion that you not only have for Christ but also for your health, your wealth, again your desire to create and your marriage, your relationships, and to experience the life of abundance that is available for you when you walk by faith with God. And ultimately, you may also find that church services are just very, very bland. Maybe you get something out of it, but there's just no deep connection and no deep community. Even within small groups, the connection is flat and feels forced. Uh, so again, if this is for you, then this podcast is for you, and we will cover topics that are focusing on surrendering, giving our life to Christ, living in a way that we imitate Jesus and love like Jesus, and ultimately honor and glorify God in our health, our wealth, our relationships, and our purpose. So, again, moving forward, this podcast is going to get very clear, very focused on why we're here, what we're doing, and who we're serving. It is for Christian men. If you have not given your life to Christ, you can still get stuff out, especially if you're curious or on the maybe on the fence about whether to surrender and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. You can definitely get things out of this, but the focus is for men who have already given their life to Christ. So that's where we're moving forward. That's the direction we are moving. And this all came from, a marriage blowing up and realizing that my focus is either completely off or not even I'm not even in focus in certain areas. And then from that, I began searching for answers, direction, and I came across uh, Garrett J. White, who is Wake Up Warrior, has the Warrior Method, and did a couple different trainings through him, and doing the Warrior Method, and has been absolutely crucial in terms of helping me get clear, get focused on what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and the direction that I'm wanting to go. So you can definitely go look him up, look up the Warrior Method, and dive dive into what he's got going on. But moving forward, I'm going to be using that method, coaching other men to live out their faith, live in a way that honors and glorifies God with their health, their wealth, and their relationships. But um, I just want to share that with you as that's kind of the journey that has been over the last 8 months. And um, if you are interested in learning more about that training and how that's helped me and how it could potentially help you, feel free to message me. Instagram, Facebook, Surrendered Strength, or Island Lansing. Look it up. So with that, with the explosion of in my marriage and lack of focus with the training, it's time to get clear. It's time to realign our focus. It's time to move forward with a laser beam effect instead of a a, a pellet or a bird shot, if you will, effect. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you ever have gone bird hunting, birds, or when you go bird hunting, you use a round that is just a bunch of little BBs, and when you shoot them out of a gun, out of a shotgun, they go out and just spread out all over, hoping you're aiming in the direction of the bird, but ultimately you're hoping one of the BBs hit. You're ultimately not guaranteed that you're going to hit your target. Whereas when you have more of a laser focus, if you are pinpointing that focus, you are pinpointing where you're aiming and the direction you're moving. So this is what I'm doing in my life, in my marriage, in my health, in my finances, in my purpose, and in this podcast. So ultimately, this is just going to be me sharing my story and me connecting with other men who are living a life that is honoring and glorifying to God, that have committed to the surrendered life, the journey of surrendering. And I already shared with you the focus and the direction moving forward with this podcast. So the question I have for you is, where's your focus? How has your focus been? Have you been out of focus, causing struggle in your health, where you're simply going through the motions? You might be working out, you might be eating semi-healthy, but at the same time you're not, because there's just no focus. And ultimately you're lying to yourself, just like I was, just like I have done multiple times in the past, where I tell myself, oh yeah, I'm eating healthy, but if I really were to look at what I'm doing, or how I'm eating and how I'm working out, I really wasn't that focused. I wasn't really eating healthy. I was, telling myself it was, but the focus was so far off that it was more a lie to make myself believe I was eating healthy and training correctly, that was moving me forward, when ultimately it wasn't. So where's your focus in your health? Where's your focus in your finances? Are you locked down in terms of what you're spending, what your income is, and how you're using that? If I'm being honest, this is the area where I struggle with the most. And I'm still continuing to learn and continuing to navigate finances, because there's just some stories that I've dealt with, or grew up with, that have really caused me, a lot of struggle in my finances, that I have to work through yet. And you're gonna have an opportunity to see that um, a little bit on the podcast. If you go to surrender.strength on Instagram, it's going to be, I'm going to be posting more on there daily, so you'll be able to see that journey, that transformation, more in depth there. But where's your focus with your finances, your wealth? Where's your focus with your marriage? Are you truly imitating Jesus, or are you just telling yourself that you are? Again, back when my marriage blew up in my face, was I truly imitating Jesus? No. If I had been, I wouldn't have blown up in my face. Tell myself I was talking the talk, but I wasn't walking the walk. And the big thing we need to I need you guys to realize is that this is just kind of the ebb and flow of life, unfortunately. Although at the same time, it's fortunate for us because we go through these seasons or phases, whatever you want to call them, where we're rising, we're rising, and then we plateau. We think we're good, but ultimately we're not good anymore. We're going into a pit, and a pit in our health because we've hit our goal. We think we made it, so we ease up on the gas pedal. We start slowing down, and again, it's just a loss of focus. Same thing in our finances. Same thing in our marriage, where we get to a certain point. Maybe you finally are making an income that you've always wanted, or you feel like, oh, I can finally move forward, and I'm making the income that I need, and maybe you start saving, and you're doing good, and then all of a sudden you realize, um, this isn't working for me anymore, and you have to realign your focus and figure out what's going on. Are you spending more than what you planned? Are you needing to just make more? Are you needing to realign your focus in how you make money? And then in your marriage, you're we all start out doing really well in the beginning of relationships, dating. We're focused, we're in tune and connected with our girlfriend at the time, and then we get married and life begins to happen. And for some of us, we think we've made it. We don't have to pursue them anymore. We don't have to date them anymore. And this creates chaos and separation, disconnect. And, we think we're good. We think we're good. And then all of a sudden, we're not good. And your marriage is blowing up in your face. And then you have to figure out what you need to do, how you need to realign your focus. And lastly, in your purpose, again, we may be walking the walk with Christ, but then we get comfortable and we hit that plateau and just going through the motions, and we begin to start allowing ourselves to slip and make choices that we know they're not quite right, but they're not quite bad. And all of a sudden we're in this spot where we're doing things that we never thought we would ever do. And this is the pit that there's just an ebb and flow in life where we rise and unfortunately we fall, we rise and we fall. But we have to remember, I need you guys to remember this, that you're not stuck in the pit. You don't have to be stuck in the pit. You can gain, or you can grow out of the pit. You can use the pit to propel yourself forward to a new peak. To get out of the pit, you need to realize, though, that your focus is off, and you need to realign your focus. You need to look at the facts and realign your focus to move yourself out of the pit. And this comes from the warrior method training, where we're focusing on the facts of what actually happened, the feelings of how do you feel about that, and are you okay with this, and where has your focus been to get you to this point, and what has the results been. And when we look at those four areas, we can see how we got to the pit, but we can also see how we can get out of the pit and move forward. So, men, I don't know where you're at, but I'm going to encourage you to realign your focus. Maybe you feel like you're in the pit in your health, in your finances, in your relationship, or your purpose. If this is you, then I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around for future episodes. I would also encourage you to go to surrender.strength on Instagram and follow as we move forward and realigning our focus and living the journey of surrender. And ultimately, and again, I'm going to talk about this much more in the next episode. Ultimately, surrendering is simply letting go of what is to have what is to become. Too often we get stuck in I have this. I'm married now and it feels good. But we forget that as humans, we have to evolve and continue to grow. And if we don't, then we end up trying to hold on to something that is no longer. Your wife should be growing. You should be growing. And if you try to hold on to, how your marriage was in the beginning, in the first couple of years, year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like it's different. Things change. We can either try and hold on to what was and continue to struggle, or we can let go of what was and grow and continue to date your wife, continue to learn what she needs, continue to learn what you need, and continue to move forward. And again, just let go of what was to go forward and get what is to become, which should be better health, a better financial or wealth situation, a deeper connection with your wife, a growing marriage, deeper connection with kids, a deeper relationship with God. This is the direction we should be moving. But it only happens if we let go of what was, what we had in the past. Yesterday is not today, and today will not be tomorrow. So we have to realign our focus and really focus on moving forward, growing, and stop focusing on the past. Start focusing on the future. God has good plans for you, but we have to let go of the old plans he already fulfilled, so he can fulfill the new plans. So, men, again, I encourage you to just take some time, think about where your focus is and where you're moving, where you are in your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your purpose, and where you have been, where you're moving forward. It's almost 2025. Where are you moving forward? What's your direction as you move forward into 2025? It's time to get realigned in your focus in those areas so that you can move forward, so you can continue to lead and live out the Christian life, your faith in every area of your life, and live in a way that honors and glorifies God, imitates Jesus, and loves and to love like Jesus. So again, like, subscribe, and get future episodes sent directly to you. If you're on social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Surrendered Strength, connect there. You can always message me if you have questions, comments, concerns. Message me. I would love to have a conversation with you of where your focus is, where you need to realign your focus, and how I can help. So with that, men, God bless. I love you, and until next time.